Thank you. And send it to us again.
Okay, I'll do that.
Good morning. This is Mrs. Ghani, Acting Superintendent from Jody, also on the call.
Good morning.
And education on the call as well.
This is Paula Sinas with an Education Office Special Ed and Rehab Services on the call.
Hello. Maggie Valley from Office of Standards Curriculum from Doty.
This is Irving Nelson with Navajo Nation Library.
Good morning. This is Shayla Yellow here from Cognia Advanced Ed Navajo Nation.
Good morning. This is Shauna Vicente, Head of School of Navajo Preparatory School, on the call.
Okay, it sounds like there's nobody else on the call. Need order at 9:15 and promptly muted myself. So it seems that this only happens when you're actually running a meeting. But can we do the roll call, please, Mr. Mose?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everyone. I'm Paul Begay Jr.
Delegate Paul, present.
Thank you, sir. I'm Paul Watson Slater.
Present. Later.
Sir. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona.
Hello, Mr. President.
Thank you. Honorable Charlene Stowe.
Present.
Honorable Edison J. Winika. Here. Chair, we have 5 members constitute a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Mose. Committee members, do you have any announcements? Oh, sorry. Delegate Winika, can you please provide the invocation this morning?
Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair. Heavenly Father, we come before you this morning. We're so thankful all the blessings that bestows upon each and every one of us. We're so thankful those of us that travel, doing so in safety with our protection. We're so thankful for one another as committee members, for the support that we have for one another. And as we address the agenda today, bless us that we might do so with that blessing. We might be able to help the presenters with the concerns that they have and with those information that they provide to us, that we might be able to address them to the point where we understand the concerns that they have, that we might be able to provide them with the best possible response as far as their budgets are concerned. And we're so thankful for the responsibility that we have as leaders, as elected by our constituency. And we're so thankful for the leadership of our president, vice president, and for the chapter officials, the school boards. And so thankful for our children, our elders, and we're so thankful for our veterans for all that they have done to provide us the freedom that we have. And we're so thankful, Father, for being members of the Navajo Nation. As we're going through this pandemic, Father, bless us that we might all be conscious of our responsibility to keep each other safe. That we might provide information to our families, that we might be able to all participate in ensuring that we overcome this. And we come to thee often, Father, for guidance and for protection. And we continue to do so. And we're so thankful for all the many blessings that's bestowed upon each and every one of us. And there's not one of us that can say that we don't receive blessings, because every second of the day as we breathe and as we feel the warmth of the sun and being able to be alive is a blessing to each and every one of us. And we're so thankful for our families, our loved ones, our children. Father, bless us that we might always be an example to them and be with us in all that we do. Be with us now as we discuss the items on the agenda. Be with us when the time comes for those that have traveled, that we might return to their homes in safety. And be with us in all that we do, that we might always, to some extent, to the point of our understanding, that we might be an example for thee, helping others to become more spiritual. And be with us throughout this day, Father, we humbly pray in thy Son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you very much, Delegate Wanika. Committee members, are there any announcements? Just want to remind everyone, please mute your phones. Sounds like someone has a alarm or something like that in the background. Okay. Ms. Martinez, can you please read the proposed agenda into the record?
Agenda of the Health, Education, Human Services Committee, 24th Navajo Nation Council Oversight Budget Hearing revisits, August 28, 9 a.m. Presiding Honorable Daniel Eso, Chairperson, Honorable Carl Russell Slater, Vice Chairperson, Place to be there, Telecommunications, Winter Rock, Navajo Nation, Arizona. 1, call meeting to order, roll call, invocation, announcements. 2, review and adopt the agenda. 3, oversight budget hearing revisits. A, legislation 0177-20, revisits and acceptance of Department of New Education FY 2021 budget. B, legislation 0178-20, revisits and acceptance of Navajo Department of Health fiscal year 2021 budget. 4, close the meeting announcements. Mr. Vice Chair, the agenda has been ready to the record and members.
Thank you, Ms. Martinez. Committee members, can I get a motion?
Motion, Helena.
Second, Juanita.
Recognize Delegate Halona's motion with Delegate Wanika's second to adopt the agenda. Committee members, do you have any additions or deletions?
I'm sorry, second, Vice Chair.
I had a second from Delegate Wanika, but was it Delegate Begay? Is that what I'm hearing? Sounds like no. Okay. The motion was Delegate Halona, the second was Delegate Wanika. Committee members, going once, going twice, 3 times. Mr. Mose, please proceed to a roll call vote.
All right, sir. Honorable Paul McGee Jr. Honorable McGee Jr. Honorable Pernell Alona.
Alona votes green.
Honorable Pernell Alona votes green. Honorable Charlene Stowe.
I vote green.
Honorable Charlene Stowe votes green. Honorable Edison J. Wanika. Honorable S.J. Winika votes green. Honorable Paul Begay, Jr.
Green.
Honorable Paul Begay, Jr. votes green. Chair, I vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mose. We're going to proceed to item number 3, Oversight Budget Hearing Revisits. Item A, Legislation 0177-20, Revisit and Acceptance of Department of Internet Education, parentheses, DOTI, Fiscal Year 2021 Budget. Ms. Ghani, will you be presenting this?
I will be presenting this. This is Joseph. I have all the information for everyone.
Mr. Chair,
Thank
do
you,
you want to
Mr.
recap?
Yeah, I was just about to go back to you. I just wanted to make sure we had the people on the call. So, Ms. Martinez, can you please review your notes and concerns brought forth by the committee and the need for the revisit at this time? Thank you.
Legislation 0178-20 was tabled till Thursday. There were some concerns from the committee. Corrections needed to Exhibit A of the legislation so it conforms to the OMB document. There's 2 legislative concerns: plan of operation for Office of OSCAD, plan of operation for Navajo Nation Department of Education. The unmet needs were not addressed at the time. And according to Kristen, we need to delete the Exhibit B language. What was written there was from last year, and the committee needs to delete that. Exhibit A grant, Joseph needs to include Dene College in the Exhibit A for Dene College, and you also needs to be included. Mr. Chair, that's the recap I have in my notes.
Thank you. Mr. Callady, yes, can you proceed with an overview of the updated items that you sent forward to the committee?
Yes, I sent Beverly Martinez, relying on her to forward to all the HESI members' email addresses. I don't have those. I do have the exhibits with grants, all grants for DOTI included. This includes Dene College, Navajo Technical College, Navajo Preparatory School, and I believe 3 additional ONSFA accounts. So those you'll see, I think, about 34 or 33 accounts in total. But I sent that to Beverly. The correct one has an FY20 amount of $41,610,115 and an FY21 amount of $129,429,981. Has HESI received that?
I'm sending that out right now that I just received it.
Okay. But I worked with Nanette at OMB, Nanette Francisco, and she helped me reconcile both the OMB report and the exhibits.
So there was the unmet needs budget document. There was the inclusion of new ONSFA budget or business units. Was there a third item that was also included in this?
As far as the exhibits, there was the legislative concerns. I think Delegate said they were from last year, but they're continuing concerns throughout the year. I checked with Ancita at OMB, and she said they're not completely cleared, so I couldn't erase them from the exhibits. But she said on a quarterly basis, there's a status update, an official status update from OMB, from DOTI to OMB on addressing each legislative concern. So what I did was as of the last quarterly update on July 14th, 2020, I included the status update of the 2 OWNSFA accounts, the Student Teacher Initiative and the Mine Workers Relief, and Navajo Prep for a drainage project. So you'll find more details in Exhibit D in that exhibit worksheet, Excel worksheet package.
Good morning. This is Rose Graham from the Navajo Nation Scholarship Office. May I address that, please?
Ms. Graham, I missed the last part of what you just said after your introduction. Can you repeat that?
Oh, okay. I was asking if I could address those issues, the legislative concerns.
I want to make sure that all the documents are before the committee, so they have something to review. Ms. Martinez, I saw your email come through on my phone, but it hasn't come through on my computer with the, I think it's from Mr. Callady. So, can you read the legislative
I'm sorry, the person
concern?
you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up yet. Please try your call again later. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Okay. Ms. Martinez, can you review the legislative concerns that we're discussing right now for the benefit of the committee and the public listening in? And then we have Ms. Graham, so I think let's proceed with her thereafter.
A recap of the whole thing again, Mr. Vice Chair. Legislation 0178-20, corrections needed to Exhibit A of the legislation so it conforms to OMB document. Legislative concerns, plan of operation of OSCAA, plan of operation for Navajo Nation Board of Education, and the unmet needs have not been addressed. And then, according to Kristen, need to delete Exhibit D language, which is there from last year, and the committee needs to delete that. And Exhibit A grant, Joseph needs to include Dene College in Exhibit A for Dene College. NTU also needs to be included, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, Ms. Graham?
Yes. The other day, the first budget hearing, the chair said that the legislative concerns, the same ones from FY19, are not continuing into FY20. I'd like to make that a clarification. Joseph just said that they were continuing according to his communication with OMB or somebody. That's not the case. Nobody has made a motion or second to put those on as legislative concerns. And the one regarding teacher education is to do more marketing. And so more in the case of attracting more people into the teacher education field. And this is a long time discussion with the Navajo Teacher Education Consortium. We have a lot of challenges, and in many cases in our communities, as one educator put it, sometimes the education is the only place to be employed in town. On the other hand, we want to attract educators who are, it takes a special, not beyond education for an individual to become an educator and have the ability to connect and get information across to young people. So it's not being an educator is not for everyone. And those are some of the challenges that we have today and for a long time. But we do support in the teacher education program. The Navajo Nation supports the educators on the Navajo Nation, provide support for their teacher licensures, or if someone is coming out of a different profession and want to be an educator and on an alternative licensure program. And then we're working very hard. Right now, nothing is going on, but last spring we supported several students that are in the Tele College and NTU teacher education programs where the goal is to have education, students in education to be certified by the time they graduate. That's the goal, so that's what we're working towards. It's a little bit hard right now. We've only done one boot camp.
Ms. Graham, so what are the incentives? I guess if you just want to list.
Yeah, the incentives are we pay for their school, we pay for their licensure and preparation for their licensures. Those are the incentives for educators on the Navajo Nation. And
thank you.
Other,
I think that I just want to survey my colleagues right now. Colleagues, so this is for business unit number 109008. As has been the protocol with these other divisions, we or departments, the legislative concerns from prior years have been included so that we can review the progress that has or hasn't been made on them. And at this time, can we just have an informal discussion? Do we want to keep this? It says legislative concern number 9, need to develop incentives for Navajo students to become teachers. Kind of a peculiar one. I mean, I think we know that the Navajo Nation Teacher Education Consortium has been doing this sort of work, and by definition, ONSFA provides an incentive through scholarships. And if we want to create an alternative program that somehow places a higher preference on educators over other professions, I'd really rather see that direction from the committee and the nation instead of it through administrative action. So do we want to keep this in here? We can amend it and say that we want them to continue providing incentives and participating in the Navajo Nation Teacher Consortium.
Vice Chair?
Yes.
Excuse me, this is Ancita with OMB.
Yes.
I'd like to make a comment on the legislative concern.
Okay.
Can somebody fill me in what was discussed on Monday, I believe, on this legislative concern?
And Sita, I can email you those exhibits right now. It has all the legislative concerns on Exhibit D. I think I have your email address if you're in front of a computer.
Yeah, so it's page 7 of 11 within the legislation that's posted on DIB.
Okay, the way I'm understanding what you're talking about right now is, if I may, Vice Chair,
No, please proceed.
Thank you. The way I'm understanding is that Ms. Graham is talking about legislative concern from 2019. But when Mr. Colity called me the other day regarding this, he was talking about 2019 also. But I just printed the 2019 COA summary report and legislative concern. There's no COA or legislative concern regarding scholarship.
Is that for the fiscal year 19
legislative
budget or
concern-
for the fiscal year 20 budget?
The 19, but the legislative concern that's being discussed, number 9, legislative concern number 9, is in the 2020 budget. That's the current. So the reason why the legislative concern for the current year that's non-compliant, I believe, is because it states that the scholarship office shall report its progress to HESI by the end of the first quarter. And that hasn't been done according to the reports. That's the reason why OMB put non-compliant. The same way with legislative, the same way with legislative concern number 10. Yeah, number 9 and number 10. It's because it's not reported to HESI yet. The way the report has been submitted to OMB.
Those were reported.
Ms. Martinez, she's speaking to 9 different legislative concerns or COAs. In the document that I reviewed, there weren't that many. So, do I have the wrong document, or?
That's what Dodie said, all of them. Mr. Joseph.
Okay.
Can OMB resend the report from Monday? I'm trying to find it on the email here.
It's a huge document.
It's just OMB.
Yeah, I think we can find it and just reply all to everyone, and they can pull it up themselves. We don't need to resend it because that's going to take a long time. Committee members, let's take 3 minutes, and I'm going to look for the OMB report and compare it to the COA legislative concerns.
And Vice Chair, this is Shauna Vicente with Navajo Prep, and if it's a statement that we had to just write, we reviewed it, or we went before HESI, is that all that's needed in the future for any of these legislative concerns in our reporting?
Mr. Vice Chair, it was sent by Nanette Francisco, and she read it into record. It should be under her name. I'm looking for it.
Also, I don't think there are 9 COAs or legislative concerns. I think they're numbered. So COA number 9 is the ONSLA. COA number 10 is ONSLA. So there's not 9. It's
not
numbered.
COA, it's legislative concern.
Legislative concern. Yes.
Mr. Vice Chair, I found it. I'm forwarding to the committee members.
Okay, I have one OMB report, and it has only one legislative concern listed as LC number 11. And that one is for Navajo Prep and not for anything related to OMSA. So, and that was from Emmett Francis.
I can tell you now, the two OMSA legislative concern status updates I received from a memo from Patricia Ghani to Ncita Benali on July 14th, 2020. So that's where I got my information.
So this is Rose Graham. The question is before the committee, as I understand it, is whether or not to continue the legislative concern or not. In the same fashion, or the vice chair was possibly going to entertain change in the language.
Okay, the one that was just forwarded seems to be the comprehensive one. Excuse me. So this has the three that are also listed in the legislation. So we have two that state non-compliant and one that's ongoing. Committee members, we all were invited, I believe, to participate in a teacher consortium meeting that occurred, I believe, at the end of February, or maybe it's the beginning of March, at the University of Arizona. I went on behalf of the committee, and we did receive reports from the scholarship office and actually the whole group on this initiative. That would be satisfactory to me in terms of an update, but we could say that we want a written report by the end of the first quarter of fiscal year 21 and kind of roll this into one legislative concern. It's not to penalize the program or anything like that. It's to demonstrate that we're committed to this initiative and ensure that this communication persists or continues between the program and the committee. So before we get to Navajo Prep, we have LC9 and LC10. Committee members, is anyone open to an amendment similar to that? Do we want to just delete them? Do we want to keep them?
Mr. Chair, may I let you know that according to OLC yesterday, they were saying that the legislative concerns, if they're not acted on upon the committee, they get deleted with the fiscal year.
Okay. Well, committee members, if I'm not going to hear anything, then we're going to continue on. Legislative concern 11 is Navajo Prep saying it hasn't met its performance goals. We've been to the school. They've reported, excuse me, they've reported the progress to us, I think, on at least 2 or 3 occasions. Does anybody want to amend or change this?
This is Shauna Vicente, and I can speak to it real quick if you'd like me to.
Sure. Please proceed.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Thank you, honorable delegates. when we submit for this 16,007, it's probably about 16,700. We completed our project in 2019. It's been paid, and our project is complete. So we purchased drainage project supplies for fiscal 19. Fiscal 20 this year we have completed our project, but we always have to raise additional funds because $16,000 is not a lot of money to put towards any repair, true repair for this drainage project. So, but we were able to secure an additional $40,000, and so we did complete our $56,000, and $15,000 of it was paid. So it takes us time to, receive the money, for us to earn additional money so that we can finish our project. So that's why it has remained on that we didn't complete a quarter 3 performance.
Okay. Can you, as soon as possible, please submit a written report to the committee, DODI, and the Office of Management and Budget? And that'd be appreciated, just walking through how you use the money in 2019 and 2020.
Sure.
Everyone, can you please make sure that your phones are muted? We're getting a lot of background interruption.
Let's see, I was going to say, I can do it, okay, but it's going to have to be a short one. Yeah, mine is short. We only have 2.
Those who are saying I can do it, but
Chrome for, yeah. Was it the high school? No. Well, let's see.
those who are talking about the high school, please use your phone.
What's card? Is that name the card that they use to put the Chromebooks in? Oh, really? So
The
there's
card-
a special card. They put it in, okay, and then it has an extension, so you just plug it in and then
You need to mute your phone. Thank you.
You're having problems with the other shit. Okay, this one, it's for 25 each, okay? Now, high school, are they 2 high schools? Are they getting 25 each?
Whoever's talking about the high school, please mute your phone.
Leonard, get off the speakers when you're sitting. Get the phones, they're dead under the phone line. This one. This is
Mute your phone. Please mute your phone.
Thank you, everyone. Team effort. Okay.
Thank you, Honorable. Yes, I will submit a report.
Okay. I think we're understanding of what it was used for, et cetera, but we have to make sure everything is submitted appropriately. And even if the legislative concern doesn't continue, the committee is telling you right now that we would like to get an update on that in writing, and it'd be good to show that compliance with the Office of Management and Budget. Committee members, if we don't act on the legislative concerns, Ms. Martinez has informed us that Ledge Council says they'll, I don't know what the right word is, but they won't continue on into fiscal year 21.
However, the committee has voted, Mr. Vice Chair, to not continue the legislative concerns from last year.
Wait, so you say that one more time?
Okay. Per Dana gets deleted if no action taken by the committee, the legislative concerns, and however, the committee still has to vote to enact that, Mr. Vice Chair.
Yeah, those two statements seem to contradict each other. One says that if there's no action, then they get deleted. The other says that in order for there to be any result, you have to vote. So we're going to go with the first interpretation. But
Chair, Vice Chair, this is Dana. If you would like me to clarify.
Yes, Dana, the issue that we would like to present is we have 3 legislative concerns from Doty. It seems that some of them may have started in fiscal year 19, or they didn't, but some of them were in fiscal year 20, and we're determining what to do at this point. I don't think we haven't heard it from anyone saying that they want to continue the legislative concerns into the fiscal year 21.
Thank you, Chair. So legislative concerns from prior years, they expire when the fiscal year budget expires. So your 2020, fiscal year 2020 legislative concerns will expire on September 30th, excuse me. If you would like to continue them, you need to add them to your exhibit E for this year's budget. So if you want to continue them, you have to actually motion to add them to your exhibit E for this year. If you don't do that, they expire. I hope that was clarified.
Yeah, I guess in legislation 177-20, Exhibit D has the legislative concerns.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the unmet needs is Exhibit E.
Okay.
Now, since it already is attached to the legislation, I mean, that's still the protocol, though, right?
Right. I have to admit that I am in between offices right at the moment, so I can't pull the legislation, your legislation that's in front of you up. But any legislative concerns you want to apply to the fiscal year 21 budget, they need to be on your Exhibit D.
Okay, but I guess my question is, you said they only would continue into 2021 if, I mean, you said if there was a vote by us to do so, but because it's already attached to the legislation, they will continue automatically unless we delete them, right? Or amend them?
Yes, if it's already in your Exhibit D, then they will continue into your fiscal year 2021.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Robloff.
Good morning. Good morning, Dr. Slater. I called you Dr. Slater. After legislative concerns, and I can update or delete these items if you have to vote, I can do that. Again, there's ONSFA, and Navajo Prep, so I can update the master exhibit sheet following vote or decision by HESI. And I think I read that HESI has the power to delete legislative concerns.
Thank you. Okay, committee members, we have 3 legislative concerns. They're currently included in Exhibit D on the legislation. You have, I think, all the background you need to make a determination here. I need some guidance. Do we want them to continue into fiscal year 21? Yes, Ms. Martinez.
These are the same ones from the comprehensive one, the same ones from OMB.
Committee members, as has been expressed, the fiscal year 2020 legislative concerns are what are in the fiscal year 2021 budget document that's before us right now. Okay. On this item, we're going to move forward. I'm going to make call number 1 for discussion on this. Call number 2 for discussion on this. Call number 3. We'll move forward. We'll revisit this before we have our final vote. I believe that with the updated exhibit document that was presented to us by and sent out this morning, that should satisfy the remaining concerns that the committee dealt with on Monday. So the chair will entertain a motion to substitute the updated exhibits for the exhibits in 177-20.
Mr. Chair, this is Nanette with OMB. I had some corrections made to Joseph. I emailed them. I don't know if they were updated, so I don't know if you have the correct exhibits.
Mr. Cowdy, can you please respond to Francis' comments?
I have one amount. Your exhibits say 376,000. The correct amount is 375,000. I have the master sheet upon decision from HESI. I can send a totally master sheet without the legislative concerns. Just delete them since they're going to be deleted by FY20 end anyway. And that is it. I'm going to change it as you guys make decisions during the HESI meeting.
Okay. Well, can you two please correspond right now outside of the meeting and ensure that your documents are consistent, and I'll come back to you when that's complete.
Okay.
Okay.
Martinez,
Joseph, can you just email me?
Yeah.
Martinez, there were concerns with amounts in the exhibits. There were the concerns with the legislative concerns. There were concerns for the concerns. What other items were there from Monday that we need to address? From what I have written down, that's it. Those two things primarily.
Yes, you're correct. They were supposed to put in two legislative concerns: the plan of operation for office of SCAD and plan of operation for Board of Education.
Hello, this is Maggie Benali for
That's listed in the OMB report as well, Mr. Vice Chair. And that's all I have.
Okay, so we need to address the plan of operations issues. I'm pulling up switching over to the OMB report, that more substantial one.
Oh, and then according to Kristen, need to delete Exhibit D language. What is in there is from last year, and the committee needs to delete that. Exhibit A grant. Joseph needs to include the Nate College, and Exhibit A for Nate College NTU also needs to be included. Also that one too, Mr. Vice Chair.
This is Joseph. I can get two items off your list, the Owensville and Dannett College. If you have the exhibits and you look at Exhibit A, it has Dannett College and Navajo Tech for 4.7 and 4.2 million. If you want to clear that item off your list.
Okay, I'm trying to understand the issue with the plans of operation. Is it that they need to be updated in fiscal year 21 and the request is to include that as a condition on appropriation?
Hello, this is Maggie Benali from Office of Standards Curriculum and Assessment. That is our plan of operation. For the past year, we've been trying to get it approved, but it's table each time for different requests to be, commit corrections, and then and then all the pandemic, I guess it just kind of set it aside. And then, so I'm working with Ron Haven to get it in line so that it can be put back on the agenda for the meeting. So we started this process back in October 2019. So we went to HESI committee about 3 times, and so we're trying to get it right to get it approved. So that's the status.
Yes,
of the
thank you for your persistence and making sure that we get it done right when we do it. So, Ms. Martinez, I mean, I see the legislative concerns and then I see the plans of operations report. Is there a request from OMB to outline a specific program aside from standards, curriculum, and development?
Mr. Vice Chair, it's written in the OMB report. If you look at that, the plan of operations sections, that they're the gray areas, Mr. Vice Chair.
Okay, I mean, I must have the wrong document because, I see, it's on the first page of this. Okay, well, I mean, what is that supposed to indicate? The gray, the Board of Education. I mean, there's no key here that explains what the dark gray thing means.
Vice Chair, if I may, this is Ancita from OMB.
Yes, thank you. Please proceed.
Thank you. The plans of operation report, the gray shaded areas under the statutory reference, those are the plan of operation that needs to be updated. These reports go out every quarter. So this is the one you have in front of you is a copy of the third quarter report. So Business Unit 109005 needs to update their plan of op. The other one is Business Unit 109026. They need to update that plan of operation too. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Argo. We can include this as a condition of appropriation, but committee members, I'm looking to your guidance. And this is going to pass along, and we're familiar with the issue. We're currently working with the program in terms of standards, curriculum, and assessment and development. But the Board of Education is one that I don't think the same amount of progress has been made. And maybe we need to identify that now so that Board of Education and the committee focus our efforts in fiscal year 21 on updating the plan of operations. Okay, committee members, I'm going to make a recommendation. The recommendation is that the legislative concern number 9 and legislative concern number 10 be deleted from Exhibit D. We replace them, and this is for Business Unit 109008. We replace them with a request or a directive to ANSA to provide a report on, I think it's the Navajo Nation Teacher Education Consortium and its efforts to train and develop Navajo teachers. This is not something where we just complete it and it's done. It's an ongoing effort, and it would be good for the committee to get a report, and then we can issue further directives at that time with more information. Now is not the time to go through the whole history of all of that. And I'm not hearing a tremendous amount of chatter continuing these two conditions of appropriation, but I'd like for the committee to stay invested in this initiative. Legislative concern number 11, I'm perfectly fine with deleting, so in this amendment, the recommendation would be to delete 11. So instead, we'd have one legislative concern, and that is directing ONSLA to present before the committee by the end of the first quarter of fiscal year 21 on the Navajo Nation Future Education Consortium and its efforts to train, recruit, and retain Navajo teachers. Second to that, and this would be updating the exhibit that Mr. Callady has, then we would replace the exhibits with the updated exhibits. In terms of the plans of operation, I personally do not think that we need to do something for standards and curriculum and assessment at this time. We're working with the program. We've been doing so for the past year, and we have culpability in this issue as well, and we'll get it right. For the Board of Education, I think we should add a condition on appropriation, update the exhibit, and say that the Board of Education needs to work with the committee to have a revised plan of operation by the third quarter of fiscal year 21. We have a new board. We also have COVID. So I think it would be good if we could get it done by the second quarter, but instead we'll give ourselves a little bit of breathing room and do the third quarter to get that done.
Vice Chair, Leonard.
Yes.
Before we go any further, we need a recall motion for this legislation.
Okay. Oh, we can actually potentially do all this in one motion. Do we have a recall?
That's your call, sir. That's your call.
No, I'm asking the committee. Would we like to recall Doty's legislation at this time? Mr. Rose, can you do a roll call for who's on the call right now?
Right there.
Of the committee.
Paul Gay Jr. Honorable Paul Gay Jr. Honorable Slater.
Present.
Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Charlene So.
Present.
Honorable Edison J. Winika. Honorable Edison J. Winika. Honorable Paul Begay Jr. Honorable Pernell Halona. Honorable Edison J. Winika. Chair, we have 2 members. We lost quorum at this time.
To the presenters and to everyone who invested and put forth all this time and effort in getting your budgets ready and researching these issues and trying to present to the committee, I apologize on behalf of the committee, but we've lost quorum and there's really no way around that. These items are going to have to be brought up on Monday. We have a special meeting that's set up for them. And Ms. Martinez, I think you've already posted the agenda. Actually, I don't think the agenda has been posted for Monday. So my request is to include the outstanding business unit numbers and legislations for the fiscal year 20 budget to be placed on the Monday agenda. If not, we'll add them from the floor. I think everyone should know that there are a ton of meetings happening this morning, including the implementation of the CARES Act. As I said earlier, 0 cents have been sent and spent out of there. out of tens of millions of dollars that were appropriated early on and hundreds of millions of dollars that were appropriated toward the end of July.
Mr. Do you want Department of Health as well as on Monday for legislation?
Yeah, we're going to need to. I mean, this meeting is concluded. There's no quorum. There's no HES committee for the rest of the day.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, so we'll need to do Department of Health with Doty, with the ones that we already identified for Monday. And I think the chair can preside then. And the amendment that I was speaking to beforehand, I'll probably offer. And if the programs want to email me or anyone wants to email me or text me, go ahead and do so. We can discuss any other options you'd like to pursue for Monday.
I guess we're
That 8th, this is Delegate Daniel So. I'm back on the call. Chair, I understand we lost quorum here, so we're adjourned. We're here. We're here. Oh dear. So we'll try to my goodness. You want to try again at 1 then? Vice Chair, I understand said everything till Monday. Okay. We're overloaded then for Monday, but that's the... I tried to get everything done on the other call, get back on to this call. Okay, thank you. All right then. We'll talk to you later then. Okay, we'll see you later. Hello?